Good morning, everybody. Fitzy, that's all I got. I don't really know how to start this show this morning. Obviously, we're not doing our normal intro music. I don't know why or why not. Just this show seems different. I don't really know how to do it. Obviously, I know what we're going to be talking about. It's a difficult topic, but we've never shied away from tough topics before, and obviously this one is close to home, and we need to talk about this. Fitzy, good morning. How are you?
Morning. Good. We're getting through it, and it's not the same show that we've normally done, but it will. Some good's going to come out of this, and we'll get there. It's just going to take us a little longer than probably normal, but we'll get there. And I've got a lot of people to thank. It was beautiful, and we'll get into that in just a minute.
All right. Well, I don't know what's appropriate and what isn't, because you and I, we've had to talk about tough things in the past. Normally, those things aren't necessarily close to home,
Right.
but we always try to find levity. We literally call the show Positive Tuesday. We always try to find some positives. Are there positives from stuff like this? And what's appropriate? And I don't want to offend anyone. And, that's not true. I love offending people. But like more for humor, it's not like actually, if someone was genuinely offended by something I said or did, or if they see me smiling or laughing and they're genuinely offended, well, I'm sorry. I don't mean that. But we do know, and right before the show, and by the way, yes, thank you for coming on early. You had something going on at 9 o'clock, so thank you for being flexible to come on a little bit earlier. So what we do think is appropriate, and right before we started, I had asked you, and you said, boy, that's exactly what I want to do too, is to take a moment to remember the two officers in Barron County that died, of course, in line of duty on April 8th. So please join Fitzy and I in a moment of silence for Cameron Police Officer Hunter Scheel and Chetek Police Officer Emily Breidenbach. Well, I'm getting emotional just looking at those pictures. I can't imagine what you're going through. So I don't know what you're able to talk about, what you're not able to talk about. There's a lot of questions that I'm sure a lot of us have, including me. But
Right.
if you want to take the show wherever you want to take it, that's fine. I do know I would like to kind of start from April 8th. Do you want to start there, or do you have something that you want to say right away?
No, we can start on April 8th, and I think that's fine. And we're gonna laugh. We're gonna Dirk. It's gonna be different, but it's okay to laugh. It's okay to smile. I mean, we laughed at the funeral. We talked. We hugged. We cried. Yeah, it's probably a little bit more difficult than I thought maybe today, but we'll get there. And peace, closure, the support, man, the support that we've gotten. That's what brings me to tears, is the support that's out there for law enforcement that we've maybe never felt. In fact, it's funny. I mean, 10 seconds before I clicked on the show live, I got a note from some guy. Don't know him, don't never heard of him, don't even know if he lives in Barron County. And it says, the police force has been receiving a lot of attention and support lately. I wanted you to know, and your people to know, that there's a lot more support than you are seeing. I personally am not much for pomp and circumstance or parades, but I want you to know there's many people out there that stay out of the picture that still support you. And that's what I love. I mean, that's the good that's going to come out of this. Barron County strong, and Pastor Cody, who's an amazing guy, who's been through all of this with us, said, why are we Barron County strong? And I'm like, no one's ever asked me that. I just know we're Barron County strong, and that's what we've always said.
Yeah.
And he said it's because we care. And sometimes we care too much, and that's what gets us in trouble. But we're going to keep caring, and we're going to keep being strong, and it's going to be okay. I don't know how Chief Ron and Chief Adam did it on Saturday. Man, they were amazing. Amazing ceremony. Amazing. So, but let's go back to the
let's
beginning.
start from April 8th. So,
Right.
and again, I don't know what you can get into, so you'll share whatever you can share. If someone has questions, you can certainly ask those questions. Again, I don't know if this is called an ongoing investigation. I don't know how that works.
Right.
I guess it depends on your point of view, thankfully, or maybe that's not good for some. I don't know. But the other person that also had died, of course, what was it? Gerald something, Paris something. Yeah, there's a lot to go through. So I think
Right.
that is where we start. April 8th, you get a phone call? Where are you? Hockey's over, right? So thankfully you're in town.
Yeah, right. No
So
kidding.
you get a call, and what happens next?
What's kind of funny because I didn't get a call. I got our SWAT pagers went off. We have a paging system on our phone system, and that went off. And I was sitting in my office at my house, watching TV, and I don't know, working. I don't know what I was doing, but I'm just sitting there, and um, my SWAT pager went off, and it makes a noise, and so everybody in my house pays attention. And Holly was home, um, and it went off, and when our SWAT pagers go off on our phone, it gives us the live call. The live call shows up on our phone, so it notifies all 25 people on the system, Russ County officers, our Barron County officers, our admin. And I actually got two because our admin page went off at the same time as our SWAT page, because we have an admin page for major incidents and we have a SWAT page for when we want the SWAT team.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah.
You guys have pagers still?
Well, it's not a pager.
Really?
But it beeps our phones. It's
Okay.
a siren sound.
Okay.
So it makes a noise.
See. You get paged, but not to a page. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not a pager.
Gee, give it the time. So yeah.
And so I couldn't see it. It said SWAT team needed. Mine wouldn't scroll for some reason, so I rolled around to my computer and I logged into my computer real quick, and it said two officers, or it said officer down, shots fired, is what the CAD said, because that's what our dispatch puts in there. And I'm like, what? This got to be a swatting call. That's originally what I thought. I'm like, this doesn't happen in Barron County. This is somebody called in something, a swatting call. That's exactly what I thought. Because I'm like, that doesn't make a ton of sense. And so I went back to my phone, scrolled, and it said SWAT team needed, unknown location of shooter at that time. So I'm like, I yelled for Holly, and I just said, I got to go. It says there's a cop shot. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't call dispatch. The reason we do the system we have is dispatch is busy. They're handling the call. They don't need me to say, hey, this is the sheriff. What's that's why we have the system we put in place. So people don't call dispatch and say, hey, what's going on? Hey, I'm en route. Hey, just get in your car and go. That's why we push these buttons. These buttons don't get used very often. Don't need them. We have them.
But when they do, it's go time.
It's go time. It's not like, are you sure it's real? Or, it's not. We don't call them, are you really sure? Stuff like that. So, so I got changed clothes, jumped in the car. Obviously, as soon as I can turn on my radio, I can hear some traffic. I can hear, we're approaching, and I'm 8-9 miles away. Even at 100 miles an hour, it takes you forever to get to a call. It seems like when there's calls like this, and I arrive on scene. A few minutes later, the scene is secure. EMS is already on site. We have several officers that were off duty that rolled in from the SWAT page. Just like you see on TV, you see these guys in shorts and a t-shirt and a bulletproof vest and a gun in their hand. And, and that's what the scene looked like. And obviously I could see two officers down, and I could see a third person being worked on. And, I was briefed, and I can't talk about the actual case. It's not even our case. DCI handles that. At that time, when I arrived on scene, both chiefs had been notified. In fact, one chief may have already been on site. I'm not even sure. The other chief was en route. I immediately just then became the incident commander of the scene. And then, we control the scene, getting help. The Russ County Sheriff called me right away, said, what do you got? I said, it's bad. Just get here. Keep your SWAT guys coming. The bad guy, it appears to be contained. I don't know if there's a second guy. I don't know much about really what happened, what transpired, and what order it transpired. And ultimately then, I said, just keep everybody coming. We're going to need them here anyway to figure this out. And so ultimately I saw a Chetek car and a Cameron squad. I saw the one chief was upset. I obviously knew why he was upset because Emily was down, Hunter was down, Adam arrived on scene just a short time later, and they ultimately have to do notifications to family members, which is a terrible thing to have to do. But I remember back to Dan Glaze when the sheriff of Russ County, Jeff Walls, had to do it, and we sent officers with them. So again, Pastor Cody arrived on scene because someone had called him. I mean, everybody's arriving on scene. We got Cumberland and Turtle Lake and officers coming from everywhere because this isn't something that we ever dealt with.
Yeah.
I don't say ever because we had Dan Glaze, we have had Mike Baraboo, we've had incidents like this.
Al Albee, what? Well, that was before our time. That was 19. I think Dad just became sheriff. Must have been 1991 over in Burnett County.
Right.
Real quick on the, and if you don't mind, I just kind of want to interject or ask questions.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So for people that are just joining us, we're kind of going through. Fitz can't obviously get into details, but we're just starting from April 8th and up until this morning, right? Just chronologically, his experience up until this point. We have talked before about your concerns about scenes, and maybe we have to have different policies or procedures and training on how we control a scene. This was not like in some backwoods, from my understanding, right? So this was a whole bunch of people sent us pictures, and we decided not to publish any of those. Sometimes it's I think we've also talked about just because you could doesn't mean you should. Like, I don't know if I should. It just didn't feel right. But there's a lot of other people, not pedestrians, cars, and everyone is around. But you're also trying to get in all the first responders. Was this one of those scenes where, okay, we remember these from the past. We've got to do a little bit better on the scenes and also inform the community and the public. Hey, I know you want to know, but you got to stay away. Was there any concerns there regarding the scene itself?
Sure. Well, two things. One is our team did an unbelievable job of blocking off the scene right away. I mean, first of all, it was a safety security thing of we didn't know exactly what had transpired. When the third or fourth officer gets on scene, they're rolling into basically what I saw. And they had approached and checked everybody and did their thing. So ultimately, I mean, I know when I came through, there was already a Rice Lake PD car blocking the road. So I had to go around him. So I knew our scene was good, but you're right. This is on Highway Double S between Chetek and Cameron, almost into Cameron. Everybody knows where it was. I mean, we're right in the middle of the afternoon, lots of people driving by. You can almost see it from Highway 8. In fact, you can see it from Highway 8. You can see it. So it's that scene security, but there was also some rumors, active shooter. We didn't have the shooter. He was on the loose. We were dealing with some of that. A lot of calls into dispatch about that. None of that was true. The shooter never left the scene, things like that. So there wasn't a second person involved. But all that transpires. And so we're trying to, make sure, I've got to ask the question, hey, is there a second shooter? Hey, is there somebody on the loose? Are we sure we have everybody? Are we 100% sure this scene is secure and safe? We're not looking for, somebody that ran off into the woods, and everybody was confident in those details so we could squash some of those rumors right away. And then obviously our detectives arrive on scene. We make the determination as an administrator that DCI needs to handle this. This is not saying my team couldn't do it. A little too close.
Yeah, that's good. Why? Why DCI? Is it too big? But it sounds like no, right? It's like, no, we could have. Is it because you're too close to the situation? Why the decision for DCI?
I think, one, they have expertise in this. This isn't something that we cover on a daily basis. I believe in my team. I think we could have done it. A little too close to home, I think, and I think we needed more people. I don't think 5 detectives does this. When DCI rolled up, they brought 15 people.
Wow.
When the crime lab rolled up, they brought 6 or 7 people. So, we went from 5 to 21 in a matter of hours. And it takes a while for some of these people to get here, but they're arriving on scene right away. We call DCI, and we hand it off to them, which I'm glad we did. One is it's a little too close to home, and two, that's what they do. I mean, it sucks for them. They do officer involved incidents. And again, we don't know what happened first, what happened second. I don't know those answers yet today. I haven't been briefed on that. It's not my case. So I haven't been. I can speculate just like everybody else can speculate based on what I saw and a little bit of information I know. But
And
DCI
also, was there another part of this, or maybe this was, well, that's true, but it didn't play into my thinking regarding having DCI. But if you, your team could have done it, your 5 detectives, but it's still a relatively small county.
right.
I'm sure they're working on other things. So it's almost like we can't stop doing our investigations on everything else, and maybe that didn't play a role in the decision. But was that at all just well, that's another reason DCI should come in as well.
No, and we assisted DCI. I mean, we have to take them because we know the county, we know our DA, we know our search warrants. We help them do certain things, So it's not like we didn't play a role in it. We did things, and our people are doing reports on it. They're just giving them to DCI for the final step. This happened A, B, C, D, E, and that gets handed off to the district attorney's office. So our concern right now was one of our officers that were in what we call the hot zone. The officers that had to go up and see things very up close. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't go up close. I didn't, and we tell that to people all the time. I didn't.
I think I know why, but why?
I don't need to. I didn't need to. I didn't want to. There's nothing I could do, and it's the same thing we tell people at a traffic fatality. Everybody says when we have to go to a traffic fatality and there's a bad crash and a family member arrives on scene and they're like, I demand to see my whatever relative, X person that's in the crash, and we haven't removed them from the scene yet because we're doing evidence, we're doing a recon or whatever we're doing. And we said, you don't want to remember a person like that. I mean, I know I had those conversations with the chiefs and conversations you have to have with people saying, it's not something, remember the people the way you want to remember them, not the way, I don't know how bad it was. I don't know how, I was just told we're not going to do that. And now it's a crime scene. Now we've also got it blocked off. Now we keep record of who goes in and out. And so a lot of those things go into play, not for this scene, for all scenes. I mean, I'm not talking just generally for this scene, for any crime scene we have, a major crime scene like this. It gets roped off, it gets cordoned off, and you have to have, I don't want to say permission, but you get logged in. Why were you in this scene? What did you do? What did, things like that when we go to these scenes.
So then what time about, again, we're just kind of looking at this more from your perspective. Right. What time did you leave? So this was all happened Saturday afternoon. And what time are we at? Saturday night, 10, 11? What time do you leave? And when you do leave, is it because, all right, they've got this, I'm going home? Or is it there's nothing else I can do? How do you make that decision?
Well, one, you have to go home to get some sleep.
Well, right.
The next day is Easter. And so, right. Yeah. So, a DCI is, and you guys know me from whatever, with the tornado, the Claus case, you name it. When there's another agency here, we don't rest until they rest. I mean, that's what my team does, not just me. It's our whole team here. And DCI was here working, so we just served as a support role. I mean, I'll be honest, I went and bought them all cheeseburgers at McDonald's. I mean, that's what we did. And Quick Trip bought us coffee. And that's the kind of, the little things you do can make a big difference. And
Amen,
so
brother. You
try to do those little things that we always talk about, and that's what we do. And so I got home probably, I think, 1:30. And, you got to take care. I had to make sure my team was here. Our EAP team rolled up here. Our peer support team rolled up here. Excuse me. To take care of our officers, whether they were involved or not. I mean, at this time, 2 officers had passed away. We were, we announced that to our team. Everybody knew those that was on scene. So our peer support team was here making sure our people are okay. I mean, this isn't something, Russ County had been through this. Thank God the Russ County Sheriff, Jeff Wallace, was there for me. Chief Rue came up from Rice Lake, who has worked and just had some training brought to Rice Lake that I attended, and his administrative staff. And it's just working with a few administrators, making sure we're dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. I mean, making sure we're taking care of our people. We've got other calls going on in the county, Washburn and Chippewa and Tribal, and everybody was coming into our county handling regular calls because crime doesn't stop. I can attest to that. I mean,
right.
So
it's like, I was gonna rob that bank, but boy, they got a lot going on right now. So
right. Right,
yeah.
exactly.
So Sunday morning, I mean, you go to bed Saturday night, you get home at 1:30. Sunday morning, you're already, like most of us, even if it's on a weekend, you still set your alarm. When do you set your alarm for? When you get home at 1:30, you're going to bed, your mind's racing. I mean, I don't know how anybody in law enforcement, and obviously we haven't even considered, of course, the families of all this. But again, right now we're just talking about your perspective and what you went through. When do you set your alarm for? And start thinking about, what do I have to do tomorrow? What do I do? This is not a normal thing.
I got up 6 or 7, and I went to the office, checked on everybody there. We had a meeting in Cameron with a law enforcement death response team. They are a state organization that comes up and helps agencies deal with this. I wanted to make sure we had everything in place for that. Just made sure DCI had everything that they needed. They rolled back in probably about 8 o'clock. They went home or went to hotels. I don't know if they went home or to hotels and got some sleep, came back in and started doing more interviews. I made sure they were set with our patrol officers assisting them. We had some people that were involved in it that we had to rotate some shifts.
And you became, at what point did you become the point person? So obviously when I found this out, I probably sent you the same text that 1,000 people did. So sorry to hear about this. Anything you need, let me know. Because I don't know what to say. Because, it's not just from a media outlet to you. That's different. But you're my friend. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to say at all. I remember talking to Sheriff Tracy Finch on Sunday afternoon, because obviously I didn't want to bother you. So she and I talked for like half an hour and just kind of process stuff. Like, what are people going through and what can we do to help? And so I'm sure you got a lot of those. But at some point I got an email, and I don't think it was like a press release, but it was from your office to media, just saying that you're kind of the point person. And I can't remember what day that was sent on. How did you become, because you're not the chief in Cameron and you're not the chief in Chetek.
Right.
How did you become that, and why?
Because we all met, and that's what we decided. My team wasn't actually involved we were involved in the incident, but we weren't involved in the immediate incident. We were involved in the perimeter portion of this event. While some of our deputies were what I would consider, it's not an official word, the hot zone. We had several deputies in the hot zone. They didn't, fire their weapons. They didn't do anything like that. So they were there. I don't want to say after the incident, because they were there during the incident, but it wasn't. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and it may be a little tough for the chiefs of those two municipalities too, just because they're so close to the situation. I mean, I can't imagine that.
And Chief Ron Ambrositis spoke very eloquently a couple of times over the past week, and he basically said, these are his kids, and he loves his people, and Adam loves his people, and I love my people. That's what we do. That's what we do here in Barron County, and that's why we have such great departments, and because we love our people, and so they have to deal with that. And it was decided that DCI was going to run the point. I was going to run the media, because DCI doesn't do media.
No,
no, they don't.
I know. I've tried to contact them several times, and after about 2 years of that, I'm like, screw it. They just don't talk to anybody. Got it.
Right, and they don't, and that's not what we do here, and that's not what we need here. We need the letters like I just read to everybody. We need the notes. I mean, my phone blew up from every sheriff. Tracy called me. Every sheriff around. Washburn sheriff called me. Everybody offered their support, and everybody sent their support. People just sent cops. Washburn, I didn't think we need him. He's like, I'm sending you 3 just in case you do. We'll hang out in Cumberland. If you need us, use us. I mean, that's what law enforcement is about. And so when, your sheriff did that and Tracy sent people in Washburn, I mean, Turtle Lake, it's special. It's sad, But
Yeah.
again, work has to come out of this, and that's what working together, and that's why we do the things we do. So, excuse me.
So this is also on, that was so obviously a very busy weekend.
Right.
I mean, in terms of everything we're going through, and I don't think we necessarily need to go through. Okay, now Monday,
Yeah.
because I don't think there's a whole lot. So this would be last week. You're going into this. I remember having a conversation with someone and asked, "Hey, how's Fitzy doing?" I'm like, honestly, I haven't really talked to him because the dude's probably in work mode. As the son of a sheriff for 28 years, I know when you're in work mode, you just leave him alone. And it's, well, is he doing like okay? I'm like, I don't think there's a lot of emotion right now. So I want to know if that was true, because I didn't think there was a ton of emotion, because I think like after, when this is all finished, I think then the emotion comes out. How emotional was this for you? Or because you had a role in this, role as in, I have a responsibility. Do you get a human moment, or I can't allow myself to have a human moment? People are relying on me right now.
I probably should have a human moment. I didn't have a human moment.
I wouldn't think you would either, and that's
Yeah,
not a negative. I'm just saying, I don't think you can in a weird way.
The press conference and this morning probably are my two human moments here. The press conference was harder than I thought, and Ron and Adam did an unbelievable job.
Saw that.
To do that, and I wanted to hold a press conference. I thought it was important to do that. I didn't think they were going to talk. I was going to read their words, and they both decided to read their words, and I think that was very powerful. That was pretty awesome. But no, you don't. I should. I don't. Our people don't. Cops are different that way. We function differently. We're different people.
Yep.
But yeah, on and on we went. The vigil on Tuesday night, whatever night the vigil was, Wednesday night, Tuesday night, I don't know, whatever night the vigil was awesome. The unbelievable support. Mosaic Telecom was unbelievable. The Cameron School was unbelievable.
What did Mosaic what did they?
Well, they let us hold the vigil there.
Oh, got it.
So, and not only did they do that, they made sure we were taken care of. Excuse me. And then they let us park all of our squads there on Saturday. They let us help with tons of, they're always there for us. They're always there. The Cameron School, allowing us to have what we did and basically tore their school apart for 2 days. That's community coming together to support community. And that's what we do.
That's right. So that was like the big thing of the middle of the week was the vigil. And then, of course, then you went to the services on Saturday, wasn't it?
Yep, the services were Saturday.
Oh, sorry, just a whole bunch of noise. There we go.
I
don't know what you just did.
I don't know what I did.
But you fixed it. So
yeah, that's
awesome. All right. So tell us about this weekend then. This last weekend.
Well, the funeral was beautiful. If there's one thing that I wanted to happen, and it takes a ton of people to plan this, way more than I thought. You don't just say, "Oh, we're having a funeral Saturday, everybody show up." It took about 3 full days to plan this, and I didn't plan this funeral. The families plan it. And the state honor guard, Wisconsin has a state honor guard association. Jeremy Perry is a member of that. Phil Grassman is a member of that from Rusk County. He's the chief deputy in Rusk County. They came over and told us how to do all this. Many of the counties around us helped us in what we call honor watch, where basically when they're at the funeral home, an officer stays with them until the burial. So that's another thing that I did, is I secured all of these. I don't want to say I did it. We did it here. This isn't about me. I don't want to make it sound like I did all these things and make it special. This isn't about me. You're asking what I did.
That's right. So that's,
I don't want anybody
I'm making it seem like you, but it's
wrong.
Yeah, right.
I don't want anybody to take that's why I'm doing this show, to tell you how important I was.
No, that's not.
I know, but someone's going to take it that way. So if we clarify it now, I can't get on CNN. And so, I won't bring up Dolphins, and but I want you to know that every sheriff's department that's touched us. In fact, more that touched us, Eau Claire County, St. Croix County, but Tracy sent down and Washburn sent 3 down, and they guarded and honor watched, Emily and Hunter while they were in the funeral home for hours and hours and hours and hours, and every county around us supported this. So that's what I was doing during the week.
Yeah, and by the way, you were also there. I know that because that was our actual first phone conversation from all of this was actually yesterday morning. It was like at 6 a.m. And I don't know when you get up with all this stuff, and I get up before, so I texted him like, "Hey, call when free," thinking you're not, and you called right away. I'm like, "Man, you're up early," and you're like, "Well," and you had said that you were either I think just leaving or going down or something like that, but you were a part of that as well. So this wasn't just an organization part, and you should take a little credit for that. I know when Deputy Glaze had died, I know that Dad, when he was still a sheriff, he went down and did like an overnight shift thing to guard his body, and it's an honor. And it's not just for anyone; it's everyone. This is. I get emotional just thinking about that part of it.
Right.
Yeah. So where were we? Now I lost train of thought. I saw Mike Schaefer, so I think he's telling me to run his ad.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Thanks, Mike, for the reminder. Fitzy, why don't you get some water? We'll be back in 15 seconds after a word from Spooner Health.
Satisfaction surveys and in conversations with patients, they appreciate the fact that staff got to know them. Staff really took their preferences into account, and they just feel grateful that they are being cared for as a person.
To learn more about our services, visit SpoonerHealth.com.
He'll say that that's not the reason why, but it's totally why. How come he only gives you compliments? He never gives me any compliments. I tell you, Mike.
But it's so we wanted to do everything for the family, but the State Honor Guard does an unbelievable job to put on that ceremony. Basically, my captain and my sergeant took care of the parking and the law enforcement response, and some really neat things, and some really cool people came up, and a lot of sheriffs came up and that sent me notes and supported it. A lot of officers. We had almost 700 squad cars. If you add in all of the other fire trucks and ambulances, there's almost 800 squad cars or fire trucks in the processional. I mean, it just was beautiful for the family. That's all I wanted. I wanted the family to have every one of their things answered. I wanted Emily and Hunter to be respected and honored for what they did. And that's what we did, why we did what we did, whether it was our officers getting up early or staying late or doing whatever. That's what our department served in that role is for. And it was beautiful. It was awesome. And there's just a ton of people to thank. I mean, I know I've thanked Mosaic and Cameron School, but without those two people doing what they did and allowing us to have their building, I mean, it takes security measures. You can't put that many cops and squad cars and expect people not it doesn't become a target. There's still bad that goes on.
Think about that.
Yeah. And so, and you have to think about all those little things that go into this. I mean, food and water and a really cool story that I love telling is the New Jersey State Police called me on Tuesday. And I'm like, they're like, sorry, and I'm like, hey, we're trying to reach out, but we know that Chetek and Cameron chiefs aren't going to answer. But we want to come up and serve food for all the cops. And I'm like, okay, yeah, come on up. I'm super busy. I'm like, whatever. They're never going to show up.
Sure. Well, no, it's New Jersey.
Friday morning rolls around and this 50-foot trailer on this F-350 rolls in here and it says New Jersey State Police on the side. My captain goes out there and they're like, we're here. We're going to cook hot dogs and have free water and free pop and free snacks for all the cops. And we're like, wow, that's pretty cool. So they roll in at 6 a.m. Saturday morning, set up this big trailer food hut. And Mosaic gives them power, and Mosaic allows them to be inside so we can eat inside. And they cooked over 550 hot dogs and gave them to cops for free. I mean, that was, besides being the best hot dog I've almost ever had, they have this, you can't put ketchup on it because they don't put ketchup on hot dogs in New Jersey.
No, nor Chicago either. No, ketchup does not go on hot dogs,
dirt
folks.
Something. And it was just it's stories like that are so cool. I mean, they did that for free. They drove here, and that's what these 3 retired guys do for their 33,000 cops, go out and support other cops. And then the Salvation Army showed up and said, you know what, we're going to give snacks and water to all these cops. And so, think about that. You go to a 4-hour visitation, a 3-hour funeral, and then you and then you get in your squad for an hour per session. You have to think about bathrooms and snacks and food, and
of course, it's Fitzy. You got to think about the bathrooms and the garbages, just like for Spooner Block Park.
Just like Freedom Fest.
You do appreciate that stuff.
Oh yeah, we had garbage cans out there. Yeah, bathrooms and garbage and food. And if anybody knows me, I mean, my guys make fun of me. When there's a major scene, I don't care what it is. McDonald's always gets a call, and we order 50 cheeseburgers. And Jeff French, our county administrator, was there, and the highway department, and we needed some lights for the scene. And our highway director made one phone call, and Stout Construction rolls in 3 big light towers within an hour. I mean, it's Saturday before Easter, and we had all of these people just dropping what they were doing, and doing all this, and quick trips, and the funeral homes, the state patrol. Everybody complains about the state patrol. The state patrol, without them, none of this happens. None of all of what happens. I mean, they stopped the scene. They brought troopers in. They were part of the planning process. They brought in troopers. The Cameron Fire Department parked all of our squad cars. I mean, those guys want to take part in this, and they got away from their families on the Saturday before Easter for the scenes that they have to go and see. And then they helped us park all the squad cars. They were there for the vigil. The Cameron Fire Department was unbelievable. The Chetek Fire Department. I mean, the chaplains, the therapy dogs, the motorcycle groups that came. When Pastor Cody, said, "Why are we Barron County Strong?" Well, it's because we care, and he's right, and we care, and that's what's going to come out of this, and we're going to be Barron County Strong. But I can tell you, this is probably going to change law enforcement. I mean, one, we fail the support, but two, I can tell you, our cop got spit on last night. I mean, our dispatchers got threatened last week because somebody was mad about something that went on, and then they showed up here and dinged the doorbell a bunch of times and were hollering in the lobby. That's the kind of stuff that no one knows about. I don't do a press release on that, but that's the kind of stuff our cops are dealing with that has to stop. And that's the other thing that's going to come out of this. And maybe I'm going to get on my soapbox here a little bit, but that's the kind of stuff that is not going to happen. If you don't like what law enforcement did, then hire an attorney or go to court or do whatever. But don't come here and create havoc in our lobby. Don't come here and create and intimidate our dispatchers. We went to arrest a guy last night, and he spit in our officer's face. Not something we do a press release on. If I did a press release on that, and maybe we should be doing press releases on that so people really know what law enforcement is. We felt so much love and support this week, but the little things that are happening to law enforcement have to stop. And it's the threats. You threaten a judge today, and you're in jail.
Yep.
But if you threaten a cop today,
I mean, not that big a deal.
Right. But why is there a difference? Why is a social worker, you shouldn't be able to threaten a social worker either. You shouldn't be able to threaten anybody. Oh. It should be the same for everybody. And
that's interesting. That's another thing when it comes to even the fact that this individual, and I don't know anything about the details, and I should ask you right after this, tell us, when do we know more and by whom, and, regarding this, more information about it. But, I mean, of all the people, like teachers, they're just trying to do their jobs and then trying to help our students. Why go after them? Cops, they're just trying to make communities safer and everything better and get rid of bad people who could break into your house and all. It's just really bizarre. Like, why would you go after cops for anything? Because they're just trying to do right and help everybody. And it's such an odd, go after gangs or something. Just do that. Like, if you're upset and you just want to make a name, just go kill bad people. I'm not saying you should, but at least maybe I'd understand it a little. But you're just going after what?
Right.
What? They're just, come on, man.
Exactly. So, but, so everybody will know more in the next 30 days.
Yeah. I think that was on your press conference. I think it was the DA that was talking. So who is the one that really, is that DCI, which would be probably through the AG's office? Is it the AGI sending something out? Is it going to go or come from or through the sheriff's office, or is it going to come from the DA's office? Who is the one who's going to be sending something? And
DA Brian Wright will send an official report to all of the media saying, or all of the families, and then it'll go to the media saying, I've reviewed DCI's reports, and this is X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, whatever the points are. He will make that. That'll come out within 30 days, he said.
Okay.
So if you're following the rules. So, I mean, yeah, it just irritated me that, somebody didn't like what the cops did. So then they called and swore at our dispatchers and yelled at them. Then they come here and we're dinging the doorbell and causing a disturbance. You know what? And, that's just got to stop. I mean, and maybe we need to arrest more people. Maybe we're always trying to be nice, and we understand you're frustrated and you're angry, and it's your family. I get it, but you can't just come here and take it out on us or our dispatchers or our patrolmen or our jailers or whatever the cops are. I mean, you can't threaten us. You can't do this. And I'm not saying it has nothing to do with this case. It has to do with the bigger picture, the stuff we've talked about on this show long before this incident. But I mean,
and I think also the DAs. I remember having I think those conversations need to be had with the DAs, because I do a lot of crime and court stories, as you know, and I'm looking to see a whole bunch of charges. And one of the first things that they drop, because that's typically how it goes, someone pulled over for drunk driving and there's drugs in there too. Also, we're going to cite you for speeding and also for not using your turn signal. Or whatever. And then, because you want to put as many as possible so then you can take out some, and those are dismissed but read in. I don't like when I see the ones that are threats against an officer. Those are the first ones that seem to come off of those charges, dismissed but read in. And I talked to our district attorney, Aaron Marco, and kind of find out, those aren't his. That's one of his biggest passions is, no, we have to make sure. Like, we have to protect our cops. And I'm just saying that is also a DA thing. DAs need to make sure that when that stuff happens, I don't want to see dismissed and read in. We have to punish that behavior. Otherwise, we're just encouraging that behavior.
And I think people are starting to see that. I think before it was like, well, cops have to have some thicker skin. Yeah, we do have to have some thicker skin because we see bad stuff. Bad stuff happens. But again, the bad stuff that doesn't have to happen to us. And so I think people are starting to see it. And the last thing, because I have to get going.
Yeah, you got to get going. You have a meeting here.
But the blue ribbons, the blue lights, the thanks, the hugs, everything that happened this week is exactly what we needed. It was beautiful. It was to honor Hunter and Emily. It was to honor the Chetek and Cameron police departments. They're the ones that needed support, but all cops need it. And whether you're in Washburn County or in Burnett County or in Rusk County or in Barron County, all cops need to feel this love. And I don't want to say we've never had it, because we just had Dan Glaze 5-6 years ago. We've had Mike Baraboo, in Rice Lake, that was killed over in Rusk County. There's been other cops and other parts of but I mean, this was, I talked to the honor guard, and this was I think he said the 19th cop funeral he's been part of in the state of Wisconsin. This is the first double one that he's been part of. And so, but the love that we're starting to see, and just like that note, I mean, he's not into parades. He's not into that, but there's a lot more people that see you than you think. Just because you're loud doesn't mean you're right. I mean, we've talked about that on the show 100 times. But it was,
and by the way, I would like to end with that as well. Obviously, I mean, I'm a man of faith. Obviously, I've prayed for the families, but and maybe people don't like this, but I also prayed for that Gerald guy, his family, because they're probably grieving too. I mean, I can't imagine what that must be like, knowing your family member was responsible for something like this. Right. And I don't think I'm where I am in my faith to pray for that dude yet. Yeah. I guess I still have to work on that because I haven't prayed for him. But for the family too, I can't imagine what that's like. Fitzy, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this. It's been kind of an emotional show. It's been nice kind of getting, I think, just talking about it, because we have to, what's next? We have to kind of move on.
Yeah. So, and we're moving forward today. I mean, we're back to doing law enforcement stuff. I went to a different meeting last night for the first time, and it was kind of fun.
Right. A library committee. That's right. I'm on this board. I forgot all about it.
Well, and I couldn't do anything for a week. I mean, we couldn't do this show. We couldn't. There's just things. It was crazy. It was just, it was crazy how busy it is and how much thought goes into this. And it's nothing I ever want to be a part of again, just like the Kloss case, just like a tornado. But we stand ready to do this again if we have to. Hopefully not like this, but for the next major incident. I believe in our people. That's why the county board gives me the people they need, the equipment we need, and we can't do it without the supporters in Barron County and all of their counties around us. And so thank you for allowing me to do this job. I mean, it's special.
All right. Forecast. Sunny, highs of 50s. Rest of the week.
I don't even want to know it.
Yeah, don't even.
It's cold
killing
again.
You're killing us. All right. So again, we didn't do our normal intro to the show, and therefore we're not doing our normal exit to the show. Thank you so much, Fitzy, for coming on. Thanks for everyone for your comments and all these wonderful. Seriously, I didn't even chance to put all these things up. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back next week. Until then, thank you for watching and have a blessed day.